part of what I wanted to do today is help you guys with that building process, right? So we know that in order for us to launch a new offer, okay, and a new offer would be a new class, a new course, a new event, anything like that. What we need to have is we need to have our ad, we need to have our funnel, we need to have a sign up system, and the sign up system can be one of three. That's either just going to be an opt in or a calendar for them to sign up for an event or a payment, right? A payment form. Then we need to have our automation. Okay. So this is the process to launch any new product, any new service, any new event, any new class. That's the process. We have our ad, our funnel, our sign up process somewhere on that funnel so that they can opt in, payment automation. Of course, after sign up, we can have an upsell. We can have that process as complicated. We can have each of these as complicated as we want. But we spend a lot of time talking about our ads. The bottom line is if your ads are not working and you feel like it's an ad problem and your signups are slowing down, you need new ad creative. Your ad is always going to have the process of your call out, who you're talking to, plus your value, plus your CTA. Okay. So we've spent a lot of time in the last few weeks talking about the ad. We need to go one step down. I want to talk about the landing page. And so this week I set out all week in the time that I had to devote to this call, I set out all week to create a landing page cheat sheet so that you can take one look at this guide and you can have all of the elements on your page. Because I see a lot of us that are in Momentum HQ and they're building out landing pages, but then I get on Zoom with them and I say, oh, I see that, let's ask this question. Where is it located? And we don't have like a map somewhere on the landing page, or we don't have testimonials. We don't have a headline, right? We don't have the elements on a landing page in a uniform way. So just like we create rules, like the rule of a new offer is ad, funnel, sign up process, which is one of these three things, and then an automation, that's a new offer. I want rules for the landing page. And so I set out to create a cheat sheet. I wanted a one-page document that shows you exactly how to build a landing page. What I came up with was a 39-page document that goes much more in depth, and now it is going to be the basis of my next book, which is going to be called Bulletproof Marketing, a much more tactical marketing book. So I'll be working on that. But I'm going to create this into a lead magnet, and I'm going to create this as a resource for everybody to use. And I want to go through it today. We're going to skim through it, but it's going to go through the sections that we need to go through on any good offer landing page. Okay. So that we can create a rule out of that. And so this is what was supposed to be the landing page cheat sheet. Oh, now it's 48 pages. Sorry. What was supposed to be the landing page cheat sheet guide. It was supposed to be a one page that breaks it down. So at the bottom, it does break it down into what I want you to do. I did break down your checklists. So for everything above the fold, here's your headline, your subheadline, your simple headline graphics. But I really want to kind of walk through the most important elements of your landing page. And we all know, and this was written about in the 1950s, that by the time you've written your headline on your landing page, 80% of your ad dollar is used up. 80% of everything you do are in the headline. And so what we want to communicate, for instance, if we're creating an ad to a new shooter, we want to create an idea of the transformation, right? So remember when we deal with transformation that if we're selling a toaster or if we're selling a training class or we're selling a gun or we're selling any other product, it's essential that we clearly identify where the person is prior to our product. And then we identify where the person will be after they purchase our product. The product is what gets them from point A to point B. This is your product, which could be a class, a gun, a toaster, I don't care. And the distance from here to here is how much money you can spend, right? This is our model for sales, is that this is where they're going to be. This is where they are now. This is where they're going to be. The product is what gets them there. and the distance from start to finish is how much money you can charge. So when we're creating our headline, 80% of our effort, I've got some rules here for what I want you to remember in Momentum HQ. So these are some hard set rules, desktop size 50 pixels, right? Like hard set. And then we go to some format ideas that I really like to play with. And I've got a bunch of these in here. Okay. So I'm not going to go through them all, but I just kind of want to walk through them one by, just give some examples. So one of the favorites that I use is how to go from bad thing to good thing without greatest fear. Okay. So some ideas, how to go from I've never touched a gun to carrying with confidence without feeling unsafe. Or how to go from I've never touched a gun to carrying with confidence without being afraid you'll do something wrong, right? So these are just examples of this rule. And so my idea with this whole guide, my whole idea with this guide is for you to take an element of this, take this format, and pop it on your landing page. So here's another example. This is a warning headlines. I love warning headlines. I actually use warning headlines on my book package. So whenever I mail out my book, it comes in this package and it says, warning, this book will change how you grow your firearm training business. Okay. So it's warning, don't, and then put something in, take a gun class, whatever, until you take this action, right? So warning, don't buy a gun until you take this safety and confidence class. Warning, don't carry concealed unless you understand these critical rules, right? Warning headlines are fantastic. They're great for ads. They're great for landing pages. I'll show you one more example before we move on. Here's another format. Here's the perfect solution if you want XYZ, right? So here's the perfect solution if you want to learn firearm safety the right way. If you want to feel confident owning a gun, right? So we're just breaking down a format of a headline so you can come into this guide, choose one of the formats of the headline, put it onto your landing page in Momentum HQ, and then move on. That's how I want this guide to be. So then the next element of that is some sort of visual, okay? Some sort of visual above or below the fold. And by the way, for headline, I do want you to have your offer, either in the headline or the sub-headline also, right? So, headline can be warning, don't buy your first gun until you take the safety drill, and then your offer, download this free guide, and you'll get 7 days of emails or whatever the offer is right in that sub-headline. We want that offer to be right there above the fold. Then some sort of visual so that you've got whoever your target market is. If your target market are new shooters or women or couples, parents, older people, right? Real estate agents, whoever your target market is in that visual, whether it's a video or an image. We want real humans, not AI if you can avoid it. If you don't have pictures of you training humans yet, get those pictures. I don't care if you invite your friends and family over, like assign people to just hold your phone and walk around the room and take 1,000 pictures and take 1,000 video clips. We need those images and pictures in order to do marketing. They should all be smiling and relaxed, not really intense or aggressive, unless you're selling an intense or aggressive, program. And when you're doing this, though, far too often, even this week, I have seen ads, even in advanced training this week, where people are shooting in advanced classes without eye and ear protection on, or at least without eye protection on. So even if you are, love this certain clip, don't use clips where people have their fingers on the trigger unless they're actively firing. Their firearms are, of course, pointed in a safe direction, and it's even harder to do that on camera because it can look like it's a safe direction. Sorry, in person, it can be a safe direction, but in the camera, it may not look like a safe direction. Eye protection and ear protection are a must. Instructor visibly supervising if you can. Muzzles never sweeping people. Even if in person, it looks like they are, in person, they're definitely not, but in a picture, it can look like they are. Okay, so I definitely want some sort of visual aid right after the headline and subheadline. And what I'll do is I'll actually put, let's see, did I put a picture in? No. I'll actually put a I'll actually put in my landing page, I will have a headline, then a sub headline, then my visual breakup, which is either a video or an image, and then another full headline here. Okay. So so that allows me to have 3 headlines without seeming like I'm screaming at the customer, right? Screaming at the reader. And so right after that visual option, if it's a video, it's short, 15 to 30 seconds, like short. We're not doing a video sales letter here. Video sales letters are things that we can talk about in a future funnel build. But in your video, you're doing it just like your ad. We're doing our call out, who we're talking to, our value, which is what our big, bold promise is, and then what we want them to do, what their call to action is. So if you're doing a video, you're literally telling them, scroll down to the blue button and click the blue button to enter your name, email, and phone number. So your call out, I kind of explained your call out, what it is, your value a little bit more, and then your call to action. We want to tell them exactly what to do. Click below to reserve your spot. Scroll down to see upcoming class dates. That's really not a good one. Scroll down and click to RSVP and tap the button to get started, right? Very, very simple. So I added some simple video scripts, right? So here's the call out. If you've never touched a gun before, here's the value, but want to feel comfortable and safe, this class was built for you. The value continues by saying we take complete beginners and walk them through firearm safety step by step, no pressure, no judgment, and then the CTA. If you're ready to learn the right way, click below and reserve your spot, right? So it's not really a highlight reel because that's not direct response. It's not a feature explanation where we're just listing, okay, we're going to go over grip and posture and stance. We never go over a feature without going over a benefit. It is not a credentials flex where you just list out all of your credentials. That can be somewhere on the page, but it's certainly not right there. This is too high value of landing page information there. And then, so if the visual increases their fear or their, because you've got to look at it like you're not your instructor. You've got to look at it like the student. We don't want it to increase the fear. Okay. So on the next section, we're then going to reiterate what we get. And this is what we said last week or the week before. We tell them, then we tell them again, then we tell them what we told them, and then we tell them again. This is a campaign here. We need to think, what does our customer need to believe in order for them to click register? What do they need to believe? What do they need to believe? And then we need to tell them over and over and over that one element. Okay. So the next section is right after that section at the top where you've got this element here. I want you to reiterate the offer and break down what they get a little bit more. So an example of that is my open carry event when I broke down exactly what they get line for line. So once they register, they now get to upgrade to VIP for the ultimate experience with Florida Carry. This is what they get. Number 1, you get this t-shirt. Number 2, you get this for 25. Number 3, you get this for 15. Number 4, you get this for 3. We break it down step by step. And you'll see me on this landing page, which had like a 40% sale rate, like literally 40% of people that land on this page paid for it, right? It literally, all it's doing over and over and over is giving the offer again and again and again. And then social, I didn't even have social proof on here. I had social proof on the previous page, right? So we are telling them again, telling them what we told them, and then telling them one more time. And so the next section is where you break down the offer line by line. Here's another example is in we'll just pull up Eddie's account because I know we just launched Eddie's account here. We just launched his new Shooter Accelerator workshop. You know what? Maybe this isn't a good example. I think this is a good example. Yeah. So headline, visual breakup right here, then headline again, going over the offer, and then a visual breakdown, again, a breakdown of exactly what they get. So important that we reiterate over and over and over what our offer is. So then the next step, and all of this is breaking that down. So this is kind of the breakdown is your headline, your visual breakdown, your offer reiteration. Again, we're going to go over the offer one more time. Then we're going to go over what you get. We're going to break it down line by line. That's everything from page 19 and above. That's everything on a real page. So then we want to give some sort of an understanding of how this process works. And what's going to go in here is, how your proven system is working. And this is really the area that you go over benefits and features, right? Features and benefits. So we're going to talk about the time commitment. It's 8 hours. It's, 12 hours in 3 different sessions. Whatever the time commitment is, that's one element of the how it works. Then we're going to talk about, how it's, convenient for the schedule. Not, if it's not 8 hours long, you're going to explain why 8 hours long is kind of tough. If it is 8 hours long, you're going to explain why doing it in 8 hours is beneficial, right? You just sell why, how it works. Over how many days, right? You can complete this in 1 day, 3 days, a single day, 6 weeks, whatever, and sell the reason why. And then this is where you talk about features and benefits. Okay. So a feature is the thing that you learn, and the benefit is how that makes your life better. So the feature can be how to hold a gun, and the benefit is so you don't have the same scars on your thumb that Andy has on his, right? From when I was learning how to shoot, right? A feature can be how to stand. The benefit is so that if you're wearing a vest, you take the impact on your vest instead of in the side, right? Whatever element that you're teaching, it is what you're teaching and why it matters to them. And then you're going to always tie it back to exclusivity and status. And I don't think that we're going to have time to go through every element here. But the next element is in the H30K method also is why we are doing this. This is your hero journey, right? This is why you are the one teaching it. Why Kurt stood out and did this. Why Jim did this. We all have a story about where we were in life. We were just trudging along, doing our own thing. Then bam, something happened. And now we're changing the world. So this is our hero journey. Mine is I was a marketing guy. Had nothing to do with firearms. The Aurora 2012 Batman movie theater massacre happened. I felt God calling me to go and change the world. I became a certified instructor and have trained 30,000 people. That's my hero story. You all need to have your hero story. If you don't have one, check out the H30K method, and it outlines how you can do that in my book and create your own hero story. This is your element where you go through the hero journey. It is essential on all of your landing pages and all of your offers that your hero journey, that your story is on there. The why is just as important as what they get. The why is just as important as what they get. And so I really want you to look through this guide and go through this hero journey process. I don't want to go over it step by step because we are, we need to get to the point where we can do our hot seats today. But, and then I want you to just, walk through this. Okay. So now let's talk about location. All right. I'm going to actually insert a page break here. Page break. Okay. So for the location, if you are training in a publicly disclosed location, i.e. you have an address that you don't mind sharing with the general public, I want you to embed a Google map here. And I want you to embed the Google map that also shows your reviews. Although we are getting to social proof underneath the actual sign-up system, I do want you to have the Google map here that just shows a little bit of that social proof with your reviews on there. If you have a restricted or private training location, i.e. you're doing this out of your own home or a private property that you can't advertise an address yet, then I want you to use the exact structure, but we're not embedding a map. We're just explaining the city and the state. You can also explain a landmark where it's close to, but just make it very, very clear that the exact address will be revealed after the sign up. You want to say those words. The exact address will be sent to you after the sign up so that you don't have people say, I don't know where this is, and they leave. We address that in a very clear and bold section. We cannot hide location entirely. We have to explain where it is. And if you're having people fly in, you also want to explain what the nearest airports are so that they can make those decisions then. Okay, so next is the call to action, what we are going to do next. And so the call to action is literally a reiteration of section 2, what they get. It's literally just listing what we want them to do and why. What is it that we want them to do next and why we want them to do that. It's just a summary of what to do next. So that's going to have a headline where you're going to re-anchor the offer one last time. You're going to kind of explain in 2 to 3 sentences exactly what the offer is. You can list once again what they got. We tell them again, we tell them what we told them, then we tell them one more time. And then we have our sign-up system. And we have one sign-up system. I have seen forms that have 2 buttons on them where they say, click here to sign up or click here to see how it works. No. It's just one call to action, whether that's the calendar or the opt-in or the sale. We have one sign-up system. And then from under that, we have so this is an example of a CTA, right? So reserve your spot in the beginner firearm training class. Here's the calendar, reserve the spot, get it done. And then we have our social proof section, okay? And I'm going to fly through this because I want to open up to hot seats, okay? But we want to always show, don't tell. So a written review, which is what most of us have, is the last priority. Above that is an image, and above that is a video. We want to show, don't tell. So if you are making a claim like I do that I've trained 30,000 people, every one of my pieces of proof need to involve me in front of a large group of people, right? Whether I've got a microphone or I'm teaching with the microphone on right? I've got to prove that I did that. If you're talking about the amount of money that you've earned, you've got to have a picture of your bank account, right? Or of your Stripe account or something along those lines, right? We always need to show, don't tell in every way that you can. And if you don't have video testimonials, guess what? That's the next step. You've got to get video testimonials. I literally will stand outside of a class when people are leaving, and I design my class in a way that not everybody leaves at the same time. We have one person that leaves at a time. I'm outside with my cell phone. I'm just like, hey, how was the class? Cool. What did you like about the class? Awesome. Do you think that you'll take class again? Cool. And one last thing, what was your favorite part of the class? Your one favorite part? Awesome. Thanks for coming. I shake their hand and I leave. And now I've got a video testimonial, and it wasn't awkward and it wasn't weird, and I don't have to make a big deal of it, but I've got my video testimonials, and I've literally got folders on my computer of testimonials. So every time somebody comments on one of your ads and they say, hey, this was a great class, definitely recommend, screenshot that, put it in your folder of testimonials for a rainy day. Every time somebody, has a great experience and they email you, respond and say, hey, do you mind grabbing your cell phone and just recording a minute real quick of you talking about the class? Everything that you can do, you're just kind of recording what you're currently doing. You don't have to make many changes. And so my goal of this call is that you can take this guide without any input. You can walk down from the guide from the top all the way to the bottom. And at the end of it, you're going to have a really killer landing page. And one last point is that when I build landing pages, a lot of times I see people get hung up on how a landing page looks. I don't care how a landing page looks. I make the most ugly landing pages in the world, but they convert. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you want to break it up visually and you want it, that's cool. Break it up visually. I think that's good. White space is good, but don't get hung up on this whole idea that it needs to be the prettiest thing in the world. And you've got to have this font and that color and this. People don't care. Just get the communication to them about what they're going to get if they spend their money with you. Okay. Don't spend time majoring in the minors. Spend time doing the things that make a difference.